But I had a question for our tax assessor / collector, if he still has the energy to. One of my, Mr. Cole, one of my reasons for favoring a September ballot is the sheriff's argument that he very eloquently gave us in several sessions, as he's asked many times for this jail levy to be offered to the voters for their consideration. And he argued against a November ballot. For one thing, he argued that it's a bad time when you're just receiving your tax statements to be asked to once again kick out more money on anything else. So I understand that argument. But if it were passed in November, would the funding still be available in the same time schedule that it would be under a September ballot?
It would not.
That was my thinking as well, yeah. So in other words, we'd be out of the box, so to speak, to collect that money if we waited till a November ballot.
That's correct.
Whereas the September ballot gives us those receipts if it's passed right away.
We're preparing the tax roll in September and October. We actually look to certify the roll by September the 25th. This will probably cause a small delay in that if it were passed. But if it were passed in September, the money could be collected on the 2014-2015 tax roll. If we're passed in November, it would be too late.
So thank you, Madam
So November or May, and we're budgeted for the 14-15 year right now. And we're passing it tomorrow, the budget for the 14-15 year, which funds the jail until June 30th of next year. If we had a successful measure in November or May, we wouldn't have to fund the jail until July 1st of next year, 6 months till the taxes came in. That's where you could borrow against the levy to pay back when those receipts come in. So it doesn't put us behind the 8 ball doing it that way, because if you're only borrowing what you need to fund the jail to pay the levy back when those receipts come in, you're funding that year's operations. It still doesn't help us fund anything else in the county. It doesn't help us fund you to collect it for the jail, for us to distribute it over there. It doesn't help the clerk, doesn't help county council, doesn't help the DA's office if we have all this funded, because they're still unfunded as of July 1st of next year. So even if it passes,
as I understand,
yeah,
that's correct.
So
also,
that's what I don't understand. It doesn't matter whether it passes or not. The rest of the county is unfunded to support just a jail.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So this has got to be a better thought out long-term plan for the county. This doesn't solve any of our issues, short-term or long-term.
Again, it's not a fix by any means for our county situation, but we're working on other methods to do that don't rely on the property owner, don't rely on the homeowner. And that's where I know I would like to go. I don't want to have to borrow money to keep it open for fear of having to always borrow money to keep it open to pay it back on a levy in the future. I think the citizens have spoken through the kitchen table survey that they understand the plight that we're in. They want us to think out of the box on how to fund those things. And when we're looking at those things, this is just $1.6 million, and basically to bring it up to the level of functioning, the county functioning, especially within public safety, in a $4.6 million hole. So we're still $3 million short. This fills the hole. This isn't going to buy us we have a $5.5 million budget. We have $2.1 million in new discretionary revenue every year, and we're asking for $1.6 million of that. to add to that. If you add that's 3.7 million, we're still roughly $1.8 million short to keep the functioning services that we have for the entire county today to move forward. But this is one piece of that puzzle that could keep the core service of the jail functioning within those 3 years if we have to go to that $2.1 million new discretionary budget that I fear we never have to go to.
If this building is not maintained and kept operational, there is a good chance that our citizens would have to bear the burden, as have citizens in the valley, of replacing their jail with a completely new structure at tens of millions of dollars of cost, which made for a nice structure for the inmates, but a huge encumbrance for the taxpayers. So that was also a factor in my decision. I believe this will be approved. I think we have a good chance of approval. We'd have a better chance if all three of us supported it with, our various reservations. But still, I think we still have a good chance of approval. Another argument that I considered was we're just repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and that's the definition of insanity. I think that was Einstein's, repeatedly Einstein's comment. But actually, we about repetition. But actually, we're not doing the same thing over and over and over again. We've changed our modus operandi. It's true, it's property tax, but the Citizens Committee recommended a sales tax, and a sales tax was strenuously opposed by the merchants. It was clear there was no support for that. Really, at this point, our only option is some kind of a property tax measure. What we've done is we've moved, as Commissioner Smith has said, from a measure which would have given us the things we needed on an operational level that was appropriate to a second measure which funded what was there, clearly dysfunctional in terms of a sheriff, in terms of a law enforcement operation, not enough officers, not enough support. And that was rejected. And my argument, from long experience in tax measures, levy measures, if you will, whether they be schools or otherwise, is that you part of the process is figuring out what your citizens will support, and generally speaking, it's a dollar amount that they feel that they can sustain within their own individual budgets. I submit to you that 68 cents, as proposed by the sheriff and supported by all three mayors at this point, is a level at which our citizens probably would be willing to support, much less than what we've advanced in the past. Clearly for a project that is essential for a civilized county.